Batman 85 by Tom King with art by Mikel Janin. The end of at least the main part of Tom King's run, because obviously he's doing Batcat next year, but this is the end of the main book line for him.
It's his Rise of Skywalker, so we're gonna have some messes.
I'm so glad it's done.
Me too.
I don't like this. A lot of it just feels like we could have skipped huge chunks of this run.
I like parts of it. I don't like a lot of it, though.
I'll tell you what it reminds me of. The ending of How I Met Your Mother. In the sense that...
You nailed it.
Sure, these beats are great. They're fine. But you kind of just ignored like the last 3 years of character development of other stuff that just because you had this ending in mind, especially like the stuff with Gotham Girl. Like... You could basically go from the time we saw her back in like the 20s, whenever that was last time, and then to
Gotham Girl belongs with Duke because they both suck.
Yeah. Also, did we ever really get any kind of like concrete idea of like what she meant when she said I destroyed Bruce Wayne, or whatever she said back at the end of that? Like,
no,
it wasn't that she destroyed Bruce Wayne, because there was no hint that she was villainous at that point. It was Bruce Wayne would be dead.
Right.
Within like a year or whatever it was.
And we never got there.
No.
But there are parts of this that I really enjoy. When we get to the end and he goes, "Yeah, but you're not my father." I really like that. That was a real good moment.
But like, do you know? Here's the thing. So during this issue, it's cutting between the actual fight with Thomas Wayne, which is mostly Catwoman actually, who surprises him and kind of jumps him. But like, it's going through, it's flashing around, Bruce is in the bar waiting for Selina, and it's got other beats that it's going to, so he's with Gotham Girl. But one of the things that it keeps cutting to is various things with Catwoman where they're either, being romantic, or the bat signal's up in the sky, so they're going out and being on the rooftops, as we've seen before. And multiple times they bring up, should we still just get married? And they talk about when they can get married, can we just do it in the morning, kind of thing. And I thought, I've been thinking for years, since issue 50, that the run will probably end with them getting married, because it just makes narrative sense. And the end of this is basically her saying, look, we don't really need to be married, we're always going to be together, and this is just the way it is. It feels like a bit of this feels like a bigger cop-out to me than the actual wedding issue.
It was the fact that they were like, let's go get married right now, and then it's like, then it cuts to, they're in the bed the next one, they're like, oh yeah, I guess we forgot to get married. Oh well.
Well, I love that Judge Wolfman is a notorious drunkard, because they're going to catch him leaving the bar at 3 a.m. so Batman and Catwoman can get married. But I like vignettes in these. Like, I like that scene where they're in the bed together and they explain that. Like, I realize that King does interpersonal moments a lot better than he does big, like, these ideas. Like, the City of Bane ultimately is nothing. Like, City of Bane is only responsible for the death of Alfred, and other than that, it's not, because Bane's not even really the real villain here.
Joe is so weird about City of Bane is you could literally have had a tie-in miniseries actually going into how the city's operating during this, because this book mostly ignored it. There was a couple of glimpses here or there, but we could have totally had a miniseries that might have been really good actually, of like showing the structure of the city and Bane being in charge and like what villains are doing what around the like.
But it's fine because we had a million tie-ins to the wedding.
Right. But yeah, that was part of the magic trick of them making us think that it was going off without a hitch. Like.
I'm not defending that.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm not defending it either. I'm just telling you.
And
that was
I
part
feel
of
like
the
just
trick.
there's so much cop-out. It's like you say, the wedding never actually happened. They were just like, we don't need to. Psycho Pirate just stands around and watches everything.
Right.
Bane was irrelevant.
We get Scarface's eye, which I still don't exactly understand how that works. My understanding of Scarface and Wesker is that Wesker's slightly telekinetic, and that one of his personalities is Scarface. So did this just prompt him to bring the Scarface personality back, or what? Like,
God knows.
Yes.
Who knows? Sure. That was a Catwoman holding the eye, or was it Batman? I don't know, but it was kind of funny. I got a chuckle out of it.
See, there's a lot of well-written scenes in this, and like the scene where they decide that they don't need to get married is fine on its own out of context, right? Like that, if that scene took place in like issue 45, like when they were sort of thinking about getting married, and then they had this conversation, I'd be completely okay with it. The problem is though, is that they had this wedding that didn't go through, but we're still dealing with the fallout of that, and we've been dealing with it for now like a year and a half or whatever it's been, and like, and I was convinced after that issue 50 that no, this run has to end with them, you know, getting married. That's where it has to go really to really make it all kind of click together. And like there was probably ways to not do it and still make it feel satisfying, admittedly, because I'm not going to claim that I know every possible satisfying outcome of a story because I'm not a writer, but this specific way where they just decide, nah, we don't really need to, us being together kind of eternally in the way we have been can just continue on. Because the problem with that is that it makes it feel like nothing has really changed since the start of the run.
And you could have, if they'd like just not addressed it here yet, we'd have gone, well, it's coming at the end of Batman Catwoman, right?
Yeah.
And we gone, okay, fine. But now, if they do it in that book, it feels like just extra cheap because of this.
See, I don't think it. Well, Batman Catwoman, I think, is definitely going to be. Well, we know Phantasm's involved, right? From art and whatnot. So I definitely think it's going to be about their relationship and how they work together and whatnot, and not so much about the marriage. I feel this puts the marriage to bed because he gives her a ring, sure, but, you know, they're not going to be the typical married couple and whatnot. But no, like Pete was saying, there's a lot of good scenes in here. I just wish it had the feeling of this thing because, again, the whole City of Bane stuff, all of the nightmares, like them going in Hawaii and having that little layover and whatnot, like it all feels so disjointed, and it could have been done better. Like
I think the problem is, like I say, you know, these scenes individually are well written enough. It's just that in context, I didn't care. It felt like it was just meaningless. Like I was going through the motions of ticking boxes of this is how we end this run.
Yeah. Well, and I also feel like Flashpoint Batman became a last minute. Like I know they started seeding stuff in the button and whatnot, but I feel like we should have had more of him in here, you know, because if this was his whole plan was to keep him from being Batman and whatnot, like I don't know, it just all feels like last minute.
I mean, if I was to critique the run as a whole, I think like King occasionally early on, and these issues tend to be very good, where he would break away from the regular arc and he would do like the little one or two parters where it would be more like he's been doing recently, where it's jumping around time and it's sort of playing with the structure, and they were typically well received by us. Like we were all usually pretty positive in those early days with those issues. The problem is he started doing that basically with every story after a certain point.
The same trick over and over, and it loses its appeal if you just keep doing it.
And I think City of Bane, I mean, maybe not even this. I think this last issue could have still done it this way to wrap up the ending because it was sort of doing a bunch of different things. But I think
didn't care anymore.
But the main story of City of Bane, the point I'm making is that that's the main part of the story should have become more traditionally sort of straightforward, and just to have the drama, have the suspense, have like the threat of the city being under siege, go a bit more conventional with some of the actual action stuff, so that when we get to the ending, it feels like we've really been building through it in a normal way.
I feel like Bane doesn't matter.
Of course he doesn't.
Like, yeah, and so you call it City of Bane, and then he's dispatched with a kid.
That issue 50.
Yeah. So, and then for just all to be Thomas Wayne and stuff, that's fine. You know, he's the secret big bad, and then I just don't feel like what happens here was like, there wasn't enough. It's almost like the wedding again.
Yeah.
Like here, it's the resolution of Thomas Wayne, and I like what Bruce tells him, where he's like, "This is who I'm always going to be. I made this decision, but now I realize, you know, kids are dumb, and stuff that you decide as a kid isn't going to hold as an adult. And now I do this because I want to, not because I have to." And I like all of that. I like that sentiment out of Batman, and for what it means with him going forward without Alfred and a fractured Bat family. But did we need Thomas Wayne to do that?
No, and I think, you know, on the structure thing in this issue, because it's so overdone in the last, I don't know, 20, 30 issues, however long it's been since it felt like, you know, every issue has been like that. it made the fight and anything that happened in that, I just didn't care. Like I was like, whatever. I was just kind of skipping through those scenes, bored.
And then
I was still reading it, but it was kind of weightless. Even any of the good dialogue in there, I was just like, whatever.
Well, and then you get to Thomas's epilogue, and Bane murders him with a backbreak, right? Like that's because he says he's done. And then I'm just like, well, he doesn't even get a fitting end. Like, I don't. Yeah. And I'm someone that I like Bane as a villain, right? Like I argue with one of my friends and that he thinks Bane sucks. I was like, oh, he's got moments like used properly. I don't feel like he was used properly this entire run.
I like, in theory, Bane got to break a bat at last. You know, it worked for him.
Yeah,
I think it was weird having that and then continuing the fight with Bruce after in the narrative. Like, why was that not at the end?
I will disagree that he's not been used well the entire run. I loved the Bane stuff early on.
No, okay, the first 2 arcs or whatever it was, that first 3 arc stuff.
Yeah, I like that stuff.
I hated the I Am Suicide stuff, but
yeah, Matt always did.
So. Yeah, I Am Suicide and
him sitting naked on a thing of skulls.
Yeah, but I'm not just talking about that though. I'm talking about I Am Bane that came after we actually attacked Batman in the city.
Okay, yeah. That's fine. I like that.
I feel like all this, you know, because if that's all right, Bane comes back later, which is what we got in issue 50, and you're like, oh, Bane, this is his revenge, right? For the way he was kind of humiliated in City of Bane. This is him coming back now, and you kind of go, okay, that's what this run is. It's Batman. This is Bane's time to shine. His big masterpiece, and then it's just Thomas. Don't worry about it. Bane's a chump again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it shifted focus. Because I say this every time we end up talking about this, but I've not hated everything since the Wayne issue because I really like that jury duty arc for Mr. Freeze.
So in Tynan's newsletter, he talks about going and reading Batman and King's Run and how it's coming to an end, and that's probably one of the strongest Batman stories he's read in the last couple years was the Mr. Freeze, and I agree. Like it's probably my favorite Tom King Batman story.
I am obviously really excited for Tynan's run. I want to see what he does. Yeah. It's nice to have some fresh, just a fresh team on Batman, just to get a different Batman style of story.
Yeah. And I definitely couldn't recommend this run to anyone now, though.
No.
It's a hard sell at this point.
I'll recommend the Double Date because that was fun.
This is the thing. I wouldn't recommend this run to someone just to read this run, but it's there's enough good in it that if you're a completionist who wants to just read the entirety of Batman, it's not one that I'd say you have to skip this because it's going to destroy you.
But if someone goes, hey, shall I check out Tom King's Batman? I'm kind of interested. I like a few other things that Tom King's written. I'd go, probably not. Cherry pick a handful of stories. I'd the Double Day, the jury duty. I'd give them a couple of trades here or there.
Stay away from Nightmares.
Yeah, but I wouldn't tell them to read the entire run by any means.
No, go find the Porky special or the Elmer Fudd special.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I can't say I recommend it. Like it is all, and it ruined my Poison Ivy. Let's get down to why I really don't like it. That Poison Ivy arc, which I forgot about until thinking about this run as a whole, and I was like, oh yeah, they had that weird thing just to set up Heroes in Crisis, which now doesn't seem to matter.
I hated that even at the time.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. Pete enjoyed it, I think, at the time.
Yeah, I didn't hate it at the time. But I like obviously Heroes in Crisis has kind of colored it a little bit in hindsight.
Yeah. So, and I will say I did love the War Jokes and Riddles. That is.
That's good.
That was probably right after the Mr. Freeze stuff. I would put that there.
Those two Kate Man issues in the middle of that as well.
Yeah, it was real good. But yeah, Connor, although it did give us one of my favorite Connor moments, which was the Joker in the church.
Oh, the cross.
Yeah. So.
What the hell?
But yeah, I can't say. You kind of zero-yeared it. City of Bane kind of zero-yeared it. So
I think it's interesting that both these two major runs from the last decade have turning points in the middle where you go, maybe just stop there.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do think that because even Morrison says that. I do think that Batman's a character that benefits from not so long runs. I do think that it needs to be broken up, almost episodic, in that to it. As much as I love Morrison's run, there's parts of it in the middle where you start getting to the, the Dr. Hurt stuff, and it doesn't quite make sense.
Morrison not making sense.
Azrael, with Azrael, and then you have the all Joker prose issue. Yeah, you're like, what the hell, man? I get that you're taking risks, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Hopefully Tynion's run is fruitful, and if it is good, then hopefully long.
Which I guess we should talk about the 3-page epilogue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Gilla March art is
He's on at least the first 2 or 3 issues of the run.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So, yeah, we got Joker. He's doing Joker stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, he's talking about that they know. So he has these 2 goons putting razor wire in teddy bears.
Yeah, they're like, hey, Superman just came out with his identity. Yeah. Maybe Batman's next. Maybe you should capitalize on your knowledge before it happens, and and use it. And Joker's like, I'll do whatever the hell I want.
Well, he says, punchline only works once, so you can't wind the Jack in a Box if he's already flopping around. You can't put the movie back in the cushion. So I think this is all great writing from Tynion.
Yeah.
For Joker.
So it's implying that Joker knows who Batman is, and he's going to use that in some way.
Well, he will, but he says this is the final laugh. That's the set ender, right? Like he's approaching it like comedy.
Yeah, it says the end is coming 2020. So I mean, they're implying some sort of climatic thing, which will not be climatic because it's comics. But like
I think this is one of those things where going into 5G, it will be climactic
for a while,
potentially last for a few years, which is as climatic as things can get in comics. Let's be honest. So we'll take
right. But yeah, as he bashes the henchman that brings that up into the teddy bear full of razor wire, and it's all very proper, scary Joker,
Yeah.
So
it's a shame the art just ruins it all, but
it does. We don't like Gillum March's art, but his Joker is
what a chin.
Yeah, it's not good. I don't like it. Art's subjective. I get it.
I mentioned the chin there, but I can take the long chin Joker. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's the big massive veins in the forehead.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's there's no composure to this Joker.
But anyway, that's Batman 85, end of Tom King's run with an asterisk that there's also a mini coming soon. But Matt,
I was gonna say the Batcat stuff. If it hits more on that interpersonal stuff, then I'm gonna be okay with it.
Yeah, I mean,
if we get the first issue and it's narratively jumping back and forth, I'm out.
Yeah, I agree with Connor there.
Well, I don't necessarily mind if it's jumping back and forth, but if it's more if it feels more contained, like a Mr. Miracle, where it feels more focused and like I'll be fine if it's jumping around if that's just the format of the book.
And here's the weird thing about Tom King is we're all stupidly excited for Strange Adventures, right? Like,
yep.
So we still think we just
bought him on Batman.
Yeah. So nothing against Tom King, but
And Heroes in Crisis did not help.
No, not at all. Heroes in Crisis might be my least favorite story.
Heroes in Crisis is the first DC event I haven't finished in God knows how long.
Yeah.
So I would be very curious to see, like, I don't know, like just like hopefully it's more Mr. Miracle and not his recent stuff, other stuff. But so Matt, what are you giving Batman 85?
I'm gonna give this because there are parts that I do like. I think I'm gonna give it a man. This is a tough one. I guess I'll give it a 7. The art's really good. Janet's art's good, but it is kind of a mess. So yeah, I'll go 7. I was gonna give it a 6.5, but I upped it.
Connor?
I'm going to give it a 5 because while the scenes are perfectly well written on their own internal logic. I'm just the context and the weight behind it is just not there, and it kind of makes it feel kind of meaningless, even though it's objectively not badly written.
Yeah, I'm kind of a bit of 5 as well, to be honest. I feel just kind of indifferent to it.
Well, then fine. Change mine to a 6.5.
I feel really indifferent to it, which is a shame because like there was a time when this run was one of the best things happening.
I mean, even go back to our annual last year, Batman was still in contention for one of the best books of the year. I don't know if we gave it to it, but it was up there.
The Nightmares happened.
Nightmares definitely. I think Nightmares is definitely the weakest part of the run. Like,
I think Nightmares is that's the straw that broke the camel's back, right? There are things before that we didn't like, but that's the point where you go, I'm done.